You may have heard that over the last few days, there have been mass demonstrations, protests, calling for the removal of Hamas by the Palestinians, by the Arabs in the Gaza Strip. Have a look.
وما زالت الحشود من الناس تطالب بإنهاء حكم حماس ووقف الحرب على غزة. سيول من البشر تطالب بهذا. الناس انهكتها الحرب، تدخلت حماس لتفريق الناس كما تشاهدون والناس تقوم.
Before we go on, make sure to go into the description of this video below and download the free ebook that is available there. This is a collection of columns that I've published over the course of the last year and a half since the beginning of the October 7th war. It really gives you a feel, like almost like a diary, gives you a feel for everything we've been through in this war. So go ahead and download that ebook. So here you see Gazans, the Arab population there, finally fed up with Hamas, finally bold enough to speak out against Hamas. For a long time, since October 7th, we've been told by the media and by the international community that Hamas does not represent the people of Gaza. All indications that we've had up until this point were otherwise. It really looks like the Gazan people have supported Hamas from the beginning. Let's not forget that on October 7th, when Jewish victims of rape and hostages were paraded through the streets in Gaza, the crowds were cheering. But now it seems that the Gazan population has turned against Hamas. Now, let's not fool ourselves. It's not like they've suddenly become Zionists and they're suddenly pro-Israel, but they are fed up with Hamas. They realize the destruction and devastation that support for Hamas has brought upon them, and they want no part of it anymore. Now, while this is going on, we see a similar development happening in Lebanon. In Lebanon, over the last few months, the governing leadership in Lebanon has changed, and it's brought into power people who are openly anti-Hezbollah. And just this week, they're appointing a new head of the Lebanese bank. And the new head of the Lebanese bank is always a Maronite Christian. And in this situation, there is now a public campaign going on in Lebanon calling on the new head of the bank to outlaw the Hezbollah bank. That's right, Hezbollah has its own bank in Lebanon, and they're calling on the new head of the bank to make this bank illegal, basically to cut off the ability of Hezbollah to operate. So if you go back to before this war, Hezbollah was kind of the de facto government of Lebanon. Hezbollah was much more powerful than the Lebanese army, and they wielded a lot of power throughout the Lebanese government. And now the authorities in Lebanon are pushing back on Hezbollah. They're making them persona non grata. They are trying to make it impossible for Hezbollah to operate. Now, again, the Lebanese have not suddenly become friends of Israel, but they, like the Gazans you saw in those videos, are finally fed up with the destruction and the devastation that is brought upon Lebanon as a result of Hezbollah's attacks on Israel. So if we put this all together, we might be seeing a major development in Israel's relationship to the enemies on our border. If the population in Lebanon and the population in Gaza are at a point where they realize that supporting groups that are firing rockets at Israel, that are militarily engaging with Israel and are devoted to Israel's destruction, is bringing destruction and devastation upon them, and therefore they want nothing to do with these people, that might mean that long term, we may see some peace and quiet on these borders, because what we could expect if these trends continue is that any group that rears its head and starts talking the talk of attacking Israel or destroying Israel or starts launching rockets at Israel, that they will be so unpopular because of the consequences for the population of Lebanon and of Gaza for engaging in this activity. So this is a really positive development, and it's worth watching. So we're going to keep you up to date on these developments. Keep watching this space. And again, make sure to go into the comments below and download that free ebook. See you all in the next video.